we're moving right along with our Star Wars Yoda, and I got an email from someone, or a comment on my video from someone who's all ready to go with the arms. So I wanted to get those started for you. The first thing we're going to do is start with our pale green yarn, and we're going to make a loop, just a slip knot in the end, so that we can begin our crocheting. So all you need to do is just make a slip knot, just like that. Again, everything will be hidden when we're done. So you'll start with a loop that you can tighten up around your needle, and then wrap your hand, get your tension right, and you're just going to chain 2. So there's 1 and 2. And then we're going to work 6 single crochets into that first chain. So we come right back into the very first chain we made, and we wrap and pull through. And that's 1. We're going to do the same thing 5 more times. So there is 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And you can see as you started putting more and more into that first stitch, it made a circle, because our arm obviously is going to be in the round, and you can tighten that slip stitch up that you made, and we are ready to go on with round 3. So, or round 2, sorry. So in this, we're going to single crochet in each stitch around, and then we're going to change to our brown yarn. So we just start with that first one. It's going to be 6 single crochets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Right back around to the start, and this is where we're going to change to brown. And if you want, you can go ahead and put a piece of thread in there to make sure that you know where the start of your stitch is. I'll go ahead and do that on my end. Changing to brown with our paper clip on the end, we're going to increase our stitches by 2. So when we're done with round 3, we will have 8 stitches. So we're going to do 2 single crochets in the next stitch, and then single crochet in the next 2 stitches. And we're going to do that 2 times. So we take our brown and we come into our first stitch, and we're going to do 2 single crochets. Sometimes it's hard to get it started, so be patient. So there's 1 single crochet and the second one in the same stitch, so that gives us 2. And then we're going to single crochet in our next one, in our next 2 stitches. So there's 1, 2 for a total of 4. We do another single crochet twice in the same stitch. That's 6. Then our next 2 single crochets, 7 and 8. Brings us back to the beginning. And now for our next 4 rounds, we're simply going to single crochet in each brown stitch 1 time, giving us a total of 8 stitches in the round. So you can mark each row if you like. Let's go ahead and cut off our green and get it out of the way. You can mark each row with thread if you like, or you can simply count 8 stitches 4 times. So I'm going to try that if I don't get interrupted. So there's our first stitch is 1, 2, 3. It should get easier as we go, as we build out our brown. 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 puts us back around to the start, and that is row 4. And again, feel free to mark that with thread if you like, but that is our 4th row, and we're going to do 3 more doing the same thing. It does get tight in our circle as we've found in the past, but persevere. So there's 1. We're just building out his arm. 2, 3, 4, and 8, and that is round 5. 2 more to go. I'm going to kind of pull it out a little bit, and at this point I'm going to clip off my paper clip, because working in this tight of an area, the paper clip's kind of getting in my way. I'll just clip that off out of my way. We will tuck all these tails in at the end, so you don't need to worry about them. So round 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8, and then 1 more round to complete. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, try that again, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So that completes round 7. And for mine, the length of my arm so far on 7 rounds is just about 1 inch long. At this point, I'm going to go ahead and put a thread in on mine. You may have been doing that all along with yours, but I'm going to do that now to designate my round 7. After this, we're going to start closing off our arm, and we're going to start stitching 2 together, and I just kind of want to know where my start and stop is. And then when we're done, we'll measure the length of our arm, and at that point we're going to make 2 arms. So then after both arms are done, I'll come back and finish up the video attaching them to Yoda's body. So round 8 says we're going to single crochet 2 together and then single crochet in the next 2. We're going to do that 2 times, and basically that is going to finish off our arm. So we take the next 2 together. Remember how to do that. We're going to slide into the first one, pick up our yarn, slide into the second stitch, pick up our yarn, and come through all 3. And then we're going to single crochet in the next 2. And at this point our circle is getting really small and very difficult to work in. Then we single crochet the next 2 together, pull through, pick up the next one. You can see how our circle's closing up, and pull through all 3. And then we're just going to do that another time, and we should be just about to a closed off circle. 2 together, and that should be it. Actually, I think my circle even is getting closed up a little bit sooner, but honestly, I'm not going to worry about it. It looks like I'm pretty tight, and I think that that would be just fine. See how I've gotten my circle closed up even with just a couple of stitches in there. So at this point, I'm going to cut my yarn and pull it through. If you needed to go another round, that's just fine. But sometimes I've found her instructions to not be exactly precise. So this is one Yoda arm on my side. And so I'm measuring from 13 to 14, I'm measuring just about to the very tip, 1.5 inches. So now you just need to repeat that process. Play this video back, do your second arm the same way, and I'll see you back here in just a minute to attach them. Okay, so here are both of my arms, and they measure just about 1.5 inches long. And we are now going to take our needle and these end pieces that we have straggling here on both arms, thread it through our needle, and go ahead and take those to the inside. If you cut it a little short like I did, you might need to use your crochet hook and just wiggle in. Remember, we did not stuff these arms. They are mostly going to be covered up by the robe, Yoda's robe. Actually, that works a little easier for me. So depending on your situation, you can pull it to the inside either with your needle or with your crochet hook. But the main thing is we want to get these ends to the inside so that they don't show up on the outside of our Yoda. So pull that all the way through. Now we have a nice little Yoda arm, and we can cut these ends off. Remember to leave the tail that you fastened off Yoda's arm. So don't cut that by accident. You're just cutting the ones we just pulled through. And then you'll just work that inside. So do that with both arms, and then come back and we will be ready to fasten them onto Yoda. All right, you should have nice clean Yoda arms now with only the tail at the finished off part opposite the green showing. And at this point, we will sew the arms to the body using this length of brown thread. So grab your Yoda and take your needle. And this is just going to be as if you were stitching a stuffed animal made out of, cloth. You're just going to find your position on Yoda that you feel is going to work for you. And I'm just going to come right along the side and put it in, and nothing's going to be secure until I finish it, and so if I don't like where his arm is, but I think that's going to work pretty nicely. When I set him down, it looks like his arm isn't too far from the front or from the back. It looks fairly centered. And again, that's just something you're going to eye. And you're just going to take your yarn piece and just secure his arm by stitching in and out of the body and in and out of the arm. So just take a stitch, one stitch after the other, and secure. I like to make it tight enough that if I were going to let one of my grandkids play with my little Yoda, they wouldn't pull his arm off. So just continue to stitch around using your tail, brown tail of the yarn, until you feel Yoda's arm is nice and secure. And remember, if you're a little unhappy with the way your arm looks, it is going to be covered up by the robe. So don't be too discouraged. If it's not exactly the way you think it should be, I'm sure it's perfect. So I'm just going to continue to stitch around, hoping I left a long enough tail. If I didn't, I could always tie off this tail, grab another piece of brown yarn, and just continue stitching. But it looks like I'm going to have plenty. I'm going to go all the way up into his shoulder here. Just want to make sure he's nice and secure. All right. So I've stitched all the way around with this arm, and I'm going to now just take a stitch and kind of back stitch that, because I want to have a nice, more or less a knot, but not a knot that I'm going to see. So I'm just back stitching into the same area, knowing that I've got that end nice and secure. And then I'm going to take the end and just come over the body as far as my needle wants to go, pull it through, and then I'm ready to clip off the remainder of that tail. All right, arm number one. Going to do the same thing on the other side. Thread my needle. I didn't leave as long a tail on this side, so we'll see if it's going to make it all the way around. But again, I'm just going to find my spot that I want to start and go ahead and place a stitch in there and secure that arm. Oh, he's looking really cute. And then I'm just going to, again, stitch right around the arm and the body. Came unthreaded, just like I did the other one. All right, guys, here we go. Here's my little Yoda with his arms sewn. I feel like maybe one arm looks a little bit fatter than the other. I probably crocheted a little bit looser on one, but here we go. The next thing we'll do are his ears, and then the cloak will be our final piece with just a crocheted yarn belt. So that's going to be a simple piece. For those of you following along on these Yoda videos, if you can upload a photo in the comments section, it would be a lot of fun to see what your Yodas are looking like. And as usual, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, share it with your family and friends, and I will see you next time when we'll do the ears and move on to the cloak. Thanks for watching.